Hello, friends and colleagues, and welcome back to my vlog. It has been an incredible couple of weeks. We're about 2 months into this project now, and the feedback has been unbelievable. I know I say it at the beginning of every one of these videos, but the chance to go out and have networking time with people that see me on LinkedIn or maybe see my Instagram posts because we're friends in the industry or something like that. The feedback that I've been receiving has been unbelievable for me. It makes me realize that this is a worthwhile venture. This is worth my time because there are people out there that are getting something from this. So to everybody out there that watches these, I'm seeing the messages come in and I'm hearing people that are very interested in this type of content. So thank you everybody for watching and subscribing and watching the short form stuff as well as the long form stuff. I'm glad it's helping. That's the only reason that we're doing this, is to help people understand the live events industry, the audiovisual industry, and get them a place in this industry if they're interested in it. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about my story. I mean, the whole reason for this is for me to kind of tell my story, how I got to where I'm at, what my experiences were getting into the industry, and really my roadmap to where I'm at today. That's one of the most common questions I get when I meet people that maybe see my track record on LinkedIn or have heard some of the legend of the things that I've worked on in the past, and they go, man, how did you find this career path? How did you get here? That's what this is for. This is the roadmap for that. We're going to continue on the PSAV story. I think today we're going to be able to get all the way through to where I'm at now, and then some future episodes. What I would really like is some interviews that I've been reaching out to some people and saying, I'd really love to share your story because I know some very intricate and really awesome stories from friends of mine that are out there and how they got to where they're at, where they started, where they thought they'd be, and where they're actually at. And those are awesome stories. There are some really interesting people that I know and some awesome conversations that I've had that I would just love to share here. And I would love to have some conversational Zoom calls, or maybe we'll get some people in here and stand behind the desk with me and we'll talk about this stuff and share that with you so that you can understand how to get into this and how to do the things you want to do, and that there are other things out there that you can do that are not necessarily just being a technician or just being a stagehand or just doing some of the things that we know about. There are a lot of other cool things out there that you can do. And we want to make those connections, bridge those gaps, connect those dots. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. So we're going to continue on the product management path, my PSAV path, through, maybe we won't cover COVID in this. Maybe that'll be its own episode, but we'll see. We'll see how this breaks up. Maybe I'll record it all and release it in 2 parts because it could be a doozy. But I do want to talk about the extension of growth. In the last episode, we talked a lot about the growth from position to position and what the tools were needed in order to grow. And I think this will be an extension of that. But I also believe that the main theme here is going to be that you're always growing. You never stop. You need to be a sponge. You need to be able to take in information and new things. There's always new ways to do things. There's always equipment improving. There's always processes improving. You need to be able and willing to learn and to grow. And as soon as you determine I'm the best, there's nothing more to learn, and I understand everything, that will be your downfall. And hopefully today's chapter will help you want to encapsulate growth, being a sponge, and want to encourage constantly learning. That's just something that you're going to need to be able to do in order to be successful in this industry. Personally, for me, I never feel like I'm at the top. I never feel like I'm the best. I always feel like there's more to learn. I'm very hungry to learn new things, and sometimes to my detriment. Sometimes I put too many irons in the fire, and there can be an element of shiny ball, is what a lot of friends of mine like to say, you get too involved in too many things and you don't progress. You don't get too many, you don't see the right kind of growth or the good growth. So I think going through a little bit more of my journey and my story today will help encapsulate that element of being a sponge and ultimately learning, man, I don't have all the tools for this. And I need to listen to the people that are around me so that I can fully understand the scope and the breadth of what we're trying to do and trying to meet our goals. And what it meant to be a part of this very important support structure within the company, the product management team. Now, our product management team isn't like a product management team in other companies. We're not necessarily coming up with products that we need to design, that we need to test and roll out. There was some of that. We'll talk a little bit about that, but most of what we were doing was coming up with all of the standard products that we were going to roll out so that there was consistency across the company, consistency among training and marketing materials, but also if you went to one location and were looking for a certain element of professionalism and equipment, you were going to get that on both sides of the country and north and south. You weren't going to have completely different experiences in different venues because we had a lot of clients that were going to multiple PSAV locations. So our goal was to drive consistency, to train our locations so that they knew how to use a lot of this new age equipment, and make sure that there was marketing materials out there so that the team knew what they were doing and they knew why we were doing this, but also our clients and our customers knew what these products were, what they did, and why we were using them. So there's a lot of your basic equipment. I came on to the team. I was applying for the video product manager job. That was the role that Matt had kind of whispered in my ear at the Employee Excellence Awards that we talked about in the last episode. And I was not ready for that position. I applied. I thought that there was definitely going to be a spot for me. I thought I was going to be the rock star. I just won this award. And little did I know that the person I was going up against, who is a great friend of mine now, Chris Wissinger, that person was prepared. That person was ready for that job. That person knew so much more than me in the video realm that it opened up a new world to me. Like, man, I thought I was prepared for this. I thought I knew everything that you needed to know about video from my broadcast experience, from my almost 10 years of live event experience now in the Boston region. I thought, man, I know it all. I was so wrong. And it took meeting Chris, and it took being humbled by not getting that position to really understand there's so much more out there that I just don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know, how are you going to learn? Other than having a mindset that I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly trying to understand things that maybe haven't been relevant to me, and maybe I just don't know. You don't know what you don't know sometimes. It's as easy as that. So as long as you can have this mindset of constantly being ready to learn and being ready to understand what maybe other people's perspectives are, that's going to help you immensely. And being in this position helped me adapt that mindset more than ever. Sure, when I was younger, was I cocky? Did I think that I knew everything? Did I think that I was the end-all be-all as far as video went, at least in my region? Yes, I absolutely thought that. There was a level of confidence there that maybe stretched over into cockiness, but I was very comfortable doing what I was doing. And that bred a little bit of cockiness. I'll be 100% honest with you. And if you knew me in my early 20s, you probably saw it. Being on this team humbled that, and working with these people definitely gave me a slice of humble pie, but also taught me to think about it differently and in a better way. So meeting Chris and being part of this team was amazing for me. I learned a lot about just what was coming analog sunset was a thing. We were really trying to figure out, VGA as a format was going away. A lot of the analog formats they had a cutoff date. So all of our laptops, all of our switching systems, everything was going to be digital video. And boy, did I not completely understand that at the time. So that brings us to the position that I did get. I was interviewing for that. I felt like my interviews were very positive. I got to meet a lot of people and get close to a lot of people in the corporate structure of the company during this process. And I felt like if they're going to ask you a question, you have to have an answer ready to go, and it's got to be pertinent to what you're talking about. It can't be some bullshit answer. I'm just, you can't, they're going to know that you're trying to either skirt the situation or you don't know what you're talking about based on your answer. And that's going to be a strike against you. If your answer is of the, maybe I don't understand, but I'm willing to learn, or I'm working on that right now, and here are some things that I'm doing. I think people are interested in having answers come back like that. But if you're just like completely making it up on the spot, they're going to know. I wanted to be prepared for some of the questions that I knew I was going to get. And I also wanted to show that I was willing to learn and I was willing to grow with this team. I wasn't going to come into this thinking that I'm here. I have everything I need to know. I have all the tools. There's nothing to learn. I did not want that to be the case at all. So interviewing with some of the folks was a lot of fun for me. I learned a lot about the interview process, but I also learned a lot about what they were looking for and how to adapt some of my answers to that. The most important part, I think, of my interview process was the answer to, why do you want this job? Why do you feel like you want to be on this team? Why do you think you'd be a good product manager for PSAV? My answer that I thought about for a long time, and I had probably been thinking about since my days in the field before ever interviewing for this position, was we might be the biggest company. And at that time, we were the biggest hotel audiovisual company, I think in the world, at least in North America. We might be the biggest, but we are not the best by a long shot. We have a lot of things to work on. And I feel like my experience in the field will help us become a bigger, better company. We'll never be the best. I just don't think that you can be the biggest and the best at the same time. It's really hard to do that. And then there are other issues that come with that, but we can definitely get better over time. And I feel like I'm the man for that job, to help us get better. And I think they understood that. I think they thought this person might help us at least get better. So I did not get the video product manager job, and that did not break my heart because I learned that I was not ready for that job. Chris Wissinger was definitely the man for that. But Matt took me aside and said, I think you're a good fit for this team, and I would like to make you a product management specialist, which was a step down from product manager, but he felt like this was kind of that job with training wheels, and then you'll grow into a product manager. And I liked that. I liked that there was a career path built into this new job that I was hopefully going to accept. So Matt said, I'd like to make you the product manager for lighting and IT. And all the lighting products, PSAV didn't have a big lighting portfolio. We had some uplights, we had some stage lighting elements, we had some dimmers. It was not very big. So they were looking for someone to grow that portfolio, create some marketing elements for it, train, but also where are we going? Where is the industry going in terms of lighting? As well as maintain the IT portfolio, which was just the rental IT portfolio, mostly rental laptops, some back office laptops, things like Playback Pro, working on a video playback solution with Chris as the video product manager, coming up with some other elements and getting into media servers and IT related products that were going to help the audiovisual landscape and the live event landscape. I looked at that as a really good challenge. And I looked at it like a way to learn a lot more about the industry as a whole, and not just my little bubble in Boston and the tools that we had. So I took the job. I was very excited to be a part of this team. I was mostly excited for the journey and to learn about what it's like to be a bigger part of a company, more part of the corporate side and the strategy side of things, but also the ability to inflect real change in the company and making technicians' lives hopefully easier, giving them the tools that they need in order to do things in a much better way, maybe more efficient way, and also give them the training that they need, give the salespeople the marketing materials that they need so that we can talk about this new widget, what it's going to do to make your event better, how we can sell it to our customers in order to make more money, and how to make sure our technicians knew how to use that equipment. This was a very exciting time for me. So ultimately, got on the team. We'll skip through some of the stuff that was the onboarding and things like that. But I had the ability to do some really cool things as the lighting product management specialist. During my time really going through our kit lists and understanding what the needs were, we started to develop these initiatives that were ways to drive new streams of revenue within the products, the audio, video, lighting, IT, rigging, power, all these different verticals that we have for gear. What are some initiatives that we can roll out in order to help generate that revenue? We were starting to get into moving lights. We were starting to get into some newer consoles that were going to be easier for our technicians to use. And we were getting into really doing more about lighting. And one of the things that I helped roll out were some new uplights. At the time, we were using ColorForce 12s, the version 1 ColorForces. I think we're on ColorForce version 2, or we're probably looking at version 3s pretty soon. Rolling those out to the company. These are a very bright product. They're easy to control. They work with a lot of the controllers that we have out there now. But then also on top of that, here is an entirely new control system. We were very good partners with AC Lighting out of Canada, and AC Lighting was a rep firm for ChromaQ. At the time, we were buying all of our ChromaQ products through them, which the ColorForce 12 was, as well as the ColorForce 48 and 72, which we bought. But they were also a rep for Jan's products, which were controlling systems for lighting. And we were a major player in the Jan's Vista console series. We were at this point of trying to get away from knobs and buttons and consoles that, you kind of had to know a lot about really machine language in order to get things kind of programmed the way that you needed to. We wanted to roll out something that was more visual, that was easier for our technicians to learn. And the Vista did that. You could run a complete lighting show off of a laptop with a dongle and a DMX dongle. They did sell consoles, and we did buy some of those. But we tried to make it as easy as you could put one of your rental laptops on a table and you could run your lighting show from there. You can select all of the fixtures. You can change their color. If there's moving lights, you can affect their patterns and where their movements are going just right in this program. And it's all very visual. You can see it all. We felt like that was the way to go. So I started to push out these products, and they were very successful. For corporate audiovisual, the Jan's Vista product was perfect for us. It was one of those things that made the most sense, but also got the job done fast and efficiently and correctly. So skipping ahead a little bit here, that went very well. The rollout of a lot of those products went really well. Our team went through some changes, mainly because the company was going through some changes. That's what happens when you're in a large company like that. So I ended up taking on a lot more pieces. I ended up moving into audio, running the entire audio portfolio. the IT portfolio for a little while there. I was doing rigging, power, GAV stuff. But ultimately, when we got through a lot of the changes, I became the product manager for audio and IT. And for me, I had always been a video person, and I had always been, broadcast TV. I was making video clips. I was doing music videos, and I like to make a lot of like wrestling content, things like that. Back in the day when I was a student and a young buck, but here I am being challenged with, we'd like you to take on the audio portfolio and work on that. And I panicked and I said, I don't know anything about audio other than, microphones and how to record for shows and for, podium microphones and things for live events. I don't know anything else. And Matt said to me, you'll figure it out. You're a smart kid. And he had faith in me to do it. I was petrified because I'd been a very visual person to that point. Lighting was easy. Some of the mapping stuff that we were doing was very easy. It was all video. It was all visual. All the video stuff that I'd ever worked on was very visual. Now I'm an audio person. How do I take my visual creativity and move that into audio? What was nice about switching into that role was Matt essentially set me up with all of our audio providers, all of our partners and everybody over about a 3-day tour. It wasn't really a tour. We went to our main equipment processing center for PSAV in Elgin, Illinois, which was also, Chicago's right down the street, about an hour away. So our corporate headquarters was there. Matt was based there, and our equipment processing center had a big demo area where we could have meetings. We could demo products. We could also we brought in a lot of sales folks. We would do sales 101s, sales 201s, teach people about the products that we were releasing and the initiatives that we were working on so that they fully understood the direction that we were going in, and so that we could give them the tools necessary to sell these products or these services. So Matt set up about 3 days worth of meetings for me and had all of the audio rep firms come in and just meet me, talk about their portfolio. And we got to, I love this word, we got to ideate. And we basically sat at a table and just talked about ideas that I had and what that meant for these rep firms. But also it got the ball rolling on some really cool projects that were kind of custom to PSAV. A lot of wireless microphones at the time were starting to go digital. So we were talking about these new systems that we were going to be rolling out really soon. We were talking about new line arrays that were coming out, and new speaker systems, new push-to-talk conferencing systems. We were really getting into the nitty-gritty about where technology was going and where we were going to need to take it. And that was a lot of fun. It was more of a challenge for me. And I started to change my mindset from being very visual in how I demonstrated products and how I explained how they work into here's why we need this. Here's what these speakers are going to do. Here's what these microphones are going to do. Here's what we need to be successful. And one project that was really fun for me really early on, a good friend of mine named Paul Mathis, who I met during this process, at the time had been working for D&M, and they made a lot of recording solutions. It was essentially Denon and Marantz. And Paul knew that we were trying to revamp our recording SOPs because we were having a lot of trouble as a company with video recordings as well as audio recordings. We were just having a lot of failures. We were tasked with coming up with an SOP for really everything that was going to ever be recorded. And Chris and I worked really close on this project, Chris Wissinger and I. And I had matter-of-factly, I think at Infocom, said something to Paul when we were at the D&M booth that I would love to see what kind of products you have that would make recording easier for us because we're having a real hard time. And Paul showed us some of their products and we talked about some things, and we even started to write some notes about potential products that could be invented. Never even thought of that. You know, who's going to invent something in order for PSAV to mitigate recording failures? Paul was thinking along those lines. Ultimately, there were some corporate changes at D&M. A lot of those guys ended up leaving D&M. It got funneled into a different company. It got purchased. And Paul went to a company that he used to work for called Superscope. I promise I'm getting to the cool part. And while he was at Superscope, he realized I need to talk to Mark about these notes that we had discussed at Infocom about these recording procedures and these issues that they were having, because I feel like at Superscope we can come up with something. So Paul came to, I think Schaumburg is where the corporate office was at this time. I flew in, met with him. I was meeting with some other vendors and we were doing some other projects while I was out there, but he came in and we locked ourselves in a room for about 2 hours and we went through the entire recording process. And at the time I was trying to take products that existed, make an SOP around those products that existed, and create flowcharts and create something out of things that were already products we could buy off the shelf. We were buying desktop recorders. I think at the time we were looking at Marantz products. We had switched to, we had really good partners in sound marketing out of Chicago for Tascam at the time. So we switched once Denon and Marantz kind of changed and products went into life to a Tascam DR40. So we had a DR40. We had our friends at Switchcraft make us some ISO splits so that we could have lines coming in. They would ISO split to a computer IO that was being recorded, as well as this backup kind of deck recorder, the DR40. Paul thought, that's a lot of stuff to have in this little briefcase and carry around, and there's a lot of points of failure there. Why don't we try to create something? So we met 2 or 3 times where he asked me a lot of very pointed questions that were going to have to do with how this new product that he was considering was designed, but also the coding and the logic that would go into this product. About a year later, he came to me and said, I've got it. What do you think of this? And Paul brought to me a sample. This is a non-working sample, but he gave me this to have as a bit of a trophy. This is the Superscope PMR 61. The PMR 61 was, I think it stands for like personal meeting recorder or professional meeting recorder or something like that. Paul insisted that it stood for the Paul and Mark recorder because I had so much say into what went into this device, and everything that was in our DAR kit, or our digital audio recording kit, essentially got put into this device. And I'm really proud of it. One of the things that I said to Paul was, I wish we had a device with a button that just blinked incessantly and was huge when you weren't recording, so that it was telling the technician at the table, oh, I need to hit the record button, and then it would stay solid so that they knew it was recording. But anytime this thing wasn't recording, it was aggressively blinking at you like, hey, press me. Because that was the number one problem with our recording, our audio recording failures, and even video recording failures, was forgetting to hit record and getting to the end of the day and going, oh crap, I don't have anything here, and trying to tell your customer that. So this device would sit on the table and this record button would just strobe flash red at you while it had power to say, hey, we're ready to go. We've got signal. Don't forget to press me. And that was a huge part of this being such a big button. The fact that it has local monitor, so you can hear the lines coming in to make sure that they're not crunchy. You could also plug your headphone into it. It also had the ability to do balanced microphone in, balanced microphone out with combi jacks in case you needed to convert to TRS or 1/4 inch. It had the ability to do RCA line in and out. It also had it has an onboard hard drive so that it's recording everything internally, and then you can connect this either through a USB A port to your computer and pull the files off. But you can also plug a USB thumb drive or micro drive to this, and it could record redundantly to that. How amazing is this little product, right? Headphone jack in the front, the ability to have a Kensington lock if you need to lock it to the desk. At the time, we were locking all of our laptops. We were locking projectors down. They were real high theft items. And then the interface for this, which I can't show you because this is a non-working version, was unbelievable. It's touchscreen. You were able to go in and set levels. You were able to go in, and it was real user intuitive. And it asked you questions like, what are you recording, so that it knew what to EQ and what the levels needed to be. You could get into the levels and you could change things as needed, but what a cool product. So once Paul had a sample of this, because I don't know everything, and because I don't have a crystal ball to say this is what this product needs to be, I had a product council that was made up of people from hotel AV within PSAV, our convention trade show division, our meeting services division, our creative services, we had people from everywhere that were in our audio product council. And I would have calls with them regularly, maybe quarterly, on Zoom, or at the time, we would just use Skype. And I would say, or even just a Ready Talk phone call, which is kind of funny to think about today. And I would say, here's a product, here's what we're thinking of. We need to make sure this is right, and then we want to roll this out. We're going to beta test this in some locations. And I would have those guys go through it, and they loved a product like this. They thought this was perfect for our digital audio recorder needs for audio. And it got to the point where Paul had a finished version, something that was ready to go out. And we met in our new office, our new corporate office in Schiller Park. I brought the entire audio product console team in because this could be a massive initiative for us, not only in rolling out a product, but also in the ability to not mess up recordings and save all of that money that we were giving back in any kind of failures that we had. So it was worth the investment to bring the product console together in one place, to meet with me and Paul, to have Paul really pitch it, to go through every detail and every piece of software and every line of code so that we understood everything that was possible with this box, and then have the product console take a couple with them, test them out, and say, this is great, let's roll this out. This should be an initiative. I'm really proud to say this is one of the things that I was really excited to roll out, along with a lot of other products that a lot of them I can't get into. Some of them I still have NDAs that are probably in place, but that was the best part of the job, was solving problems that we had in the field and rolling out a product, in this case, that was almost completely custom to what we needed. And Superscope Paul took this and sold it to other verticals that could use a product like this. Like courtroom recording was a big one. They needed a lot of the same things that we needed, so it worked in that vertical. But being able to come up with a solution for problems that we had in the field, to roll them out, to have happy technicians, to be able to generate new streams of revenue, and potentially solve problems that were costing us refunds. That's an amazing part of the job, and I was extremely fulfilled doing that. And I had to constantly remind myself that I don't know everything. This it's not a monarchy. I'm not the person coming in and saying, this is what I say, this is what goes. I feel like this is a great product, I'm going to roll it out, because God forbid it ended up being a bad product. All of that's on me. By being able to say, I don't know everything about this, and I need a team of people that I can bounce ideas off of that come from all walks of what we do. That was key. And I think that was huge in my personal growth, but it was also big in my corporate growth, because people understood that as a leader, if I didn't understand something, or if I felt like I didn't know everything, I was going to bring the people in that did know it, and we were going to make the right decision, and it was going to be right for the company, not just right for me and my audio team. So I think that's a good place to kind of end this, because this product was really the end of my journey on the product management team. We did a lot of awesome things. I mean, I'll commiserate here for a sec and just talk about how great it was and how much I miss being on that team. But I got to travel. I got to travel around North America a lot. I got to see places I would never normally go to. I got to meet a lot of great people that were in the company, as well as customers, as well as some of our venue partners. I had the chance to go do some really fun things as well. You know, whenever we were in a market, we'd try to do something like I got to catch a lot of hockey games. I got to see a lot of arenas and hockey games in places that I never normally would have seen, because we were in Vancouver, or we were in LA, or we were in Chicago. I got to see a lot of Blackhawks games. Became kind of a minor Blackhawks fan. It was a lot of fun being on that team. I love those guys: Matt Johnson, John Bleskin, Chris Wissinger, Ken Carmichael, Tommy Kotz, Tom Drozd. That was really the team when I left. We were starting to add some marketing folks. I remember we added John Chinosi to the team really close to the end of my tenure there as a regional marketing manager. But it was a lot of fun working with the field asset managers, who were the ones that had to decide what gear was going to go in what places. I mean, ultimately, I created the master kit list. I created the standards, but I wasn't telling the regions, here's what you're going to get. That was the field asset managers. They were the ones that determined, based on business levels and the kind of things that they were doing and what they needed, what gear was going in. And I was basically creating the shopping cart for them. So Dennis Lisk, Jeff Kornman, Jacob Ingle, Joe Azzarello, John Chinosi was one of the FAMs before he moved on, Dave Berteau. That crew was, they're like brothers to me. I still love those guys. And I really loved that time. I had a great experience being on that team and learning and growing, and learned a lot of lessons about life, but also about career path. And, you really have to do the job. You have to be able to say, I don't know everything about this, and I need to ask the right people. Sometimes that's one of our partners. You know, I might need to bring in Harmon or Shore to say, can you just teach me about this? Can we, I need to fully understand this in order to move forward with something or to roll it out. But also bringing in our product council and bringing in people from around the company that I knew understood what we were doing. And I had a lot of product councils. I had an audio product council. I had an IT product council. I had a video mapping product council. We'll talk about video mapping maybe in one of our interview chats with somebody. I'll bring in some mapping folks to talk about just how insane some of the mapping jobs were that we had to put on. But I love that team. I love my time there. The reason that I left, and this will kind of, I guess this will move into the next chapter that we'll talk about later. While I was on the product management team, I was working with a lot of folks on some other things, just, getting my hands dirty in some other areas because I felt like I could help. And in the office next to mine in the Boston branch, where my product management office was one of our VPs of venue partnerships, Eileen Valois. And Eileen was working on trying to branch out, trying to get our PSAV model of being in hotels into other types of venues, and started working with her just on the side on how to branch into sports and entertainment venues, how to take what we do and bring those to stadiums, arenas, entertainment facilities, because I felt like it was something that would be valuable to them to have a team like us on site, or at least at the branch level, to assist with their day-to-day events. We'll get into what that was in the next episode, but ultimately, while I was on the product management team, I was also kind of working on this sports and entertainment council, if you will, and board to figure out how we do it. And we got to a place where we had a presentation, we were greenlit, and I moved into that role full time from product management to become the national director of sports and entertainment for the whole company, and to build a new vertical. So I don't have the voice for it, and I don't think I have the time with you. This has already been about 40 minutes. That'll definitely be the next chapter. Maybe we'll get Eileen on here. Maybe we'll get some sports folks that I worked with to chat about that venture. But my career went from really loving what I was doing on the product management team, feeling like I could take that more, and now have this completely new revenue stream that was compiled of audio, video, lighting, all of our services, and moving them into new venues that we had never been in before. And it was a lot of fun, and I was really excited to make that change. But there were some hiccups along the way, and there was some real bumpy roads that we'll talk about in the next episode. But I just want to say, I really loved my time on this team. To this day, I'm utilizing things that I learned from being on that team, from being a project manager, product manager, from understanding how to roll initiatives out, how to speak to executive teams. Matt was key in understanding how to get things done, how to speak to different teams within the corporate structure. I was essentially pitching things in front of our C-suite, and that was something that I don't think many people really learn how to do, trial by fire. And I did, and it was a lot of fun, and Matt was a great teacher. John and Chris and I, Ken, coming up with some of these initiatives and concepts. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I still use it to this day, to my detriment, because people that I work with now absolutely cannot stand some of the reports and the emails and the data that I compile and come up with. They're like, man, this is too long. We need to figure out a way how to make Consiglio more succinct. And sometimes it's funny. But I use those things to this day, and I still keep in mind that I don't know everything. I'm never going to know everything, and I'm going to constantly be learning and adapting. And that key mindset has kept me, has helped me a lot over the past few years, especially through COVID. And I think that's a good place to stop. We'll talk about the sports and entertainment years and the COVID years, because they're right on top of each other in our next entry into this vlog. Again, thank you everybody for watching this. I can't thank you enough for subscribing. I can't thank you enough for just watching this and giving me feedback. I love doing this. This is very therapeutic for me to just kind of go through all this stuff. If there's things you want to hear about, let me know. If you have comments, concerns, questions, anything, if you just need me to give you some guidance, feel free to email me, direct message me on LinkedIn. I answer those within 24 to 48 hours. I'm pretty good on email and LinkedIn. Instagram and TikTok I'm not on as much, but if you're seeing these short form videos on there and you want to send me a direct message, happy to get them there too. With that, try to do something good for somebody today. Try to help somebody out. Try to connect a dot. Try to get somebody to be in a better place. And have a great week.